Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Blue Jays Today, and happy holidays, everybody, as we are entering into the Christmas weekend, and I hope you guys are having a good one, everybody. The Blue Jays, today on the Blue Jays Today show, we've heard some rumors coming out from Ken Rosenthal that apparently the Blue Jays are looking to entertain trade offers for shortstop, Bo Bichette. That is very different from what we heard earlier in the year where Ross Atkins and company weren't even going to entertain offers. But now things might be changing in Blue Jay land. Are they changing their strategy because they're not getting what they want this free agency? Is that what it is? We're going to discuss it a little bit more. And as well, we have some other little bits of nuggets of news from Ken Rosenthal about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and maybe a potential free agent that we could be signing. So let's get into it all and more, guys. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog. Now, as somebody who owns a Bo Bichette jersey and somebody that has watched this guy literally throughout his entire MLB career so far, the thought of getting rid of him, of moving on, I don't like it. However, when you look at what's happened last year, when you think about what was going on with him, with maybe the mental and the attitude, you know, there are certain arguments that can be made that potentially, not only just for the team, but for him, it might be better to get a change of scenery and to look elsewhere. And I guess the Toronto Blue Jays are starting to feel that way as well. It was reported, like Adam was saying, by Ken Rosenthal, that they are starting to listen on offers. Now, this is not the Toronto Blue Jays going out, or at least we don't think so anyways, but not the Toronto Blue Jays going out and actively calling people up and going, hey, yo, Hal,
yeah,
you want Bo Bichette? That's not what this is. At least we don't think. This is them when people are talking to them, when other people are calling them, or maybe in other conversations, bringing up or at least actively listening to the possibility of Bo Bichette. And whereas previously, a month prior, Ross Atkins was like, hell no, it doesn't make any sense for us to trade those guys. I specifically remember at the trade deadline, he was like, that just doesn't make any sense for us.
Right.
Clearly, he doesn't feel as strongly about that right now because today, anyways, they are actively listening to it and for the right price, would be willing to ship off Bo Bichette.
Yeah, but the first thing when I hear this, guys, you know, obviously this is Ken Rosenthal, and he's a more trustworthy guy in the industry.
But he does hate Canada.
He does hate the Blue Jays, and I don't know who his sources are. Maybe they also hate the Blue Jays. And, I mean, look, if you just were to sum up what the Blue Jays should do on a very basic blanket level, and you don't even really have to think about it, if anybody looking at the Blue Jays goes, okay, well, they got to send, or they got to sign Vladdy or trade him, they got to trade away Bo Bichette, and they got to sign big guys. Like, it's like anyone could say that, and that's exactly what's being said right here. So for me, I mean, this is completely different than what we've heard, and we all know we can't listen to everything we hear about here, especially even when it's coming from an outside source or even from Ross Atkins or Mark Spryer. We literally can't trust anything anybody says, but it is very strange that now all of a sudden they're entertaining offers. What do you make of it, like, of this situation? Do you think they're entertaining offers because they're not getting what they want this offseason? Are they really seeing the writing on the wall and they're going, well, we can't extend Vladdy, we're not going to extend Bo, we might as well trade him right now? Or is it just more, let's entertain it and see what kind of offers we get?
Well, let's do some detective work right now. Do you think that Bo Bichette, with where it's at right now, is going to be extended by the Toronto Blue Jays? And then to pivot off of that question, what would it actually take for him to get extended? You know, we need to see him
by the Toronto Blue Jays?
Yeah, by the Toronto Blue Jays, right? We need to see him have a solid bounce back year.
Right.
We would probably need to see, and this is speculatory, but, you know, if there is some issues with the relationship, that would be something that they would need to deal with internally. The mental would probably need to shift a little bit. And then on top of all of that, this isn't necessarily a must, but you'd probably think that to extend Bo Bichette, you'd want to have some type of promise for the future and maybe show a little bit of a winning culture here type thing. So I think all of those things you need to hit to even get to that point. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Probably not. They're going to extend him. And that alone, I think, is reason to start listening to potential offers.
Well, like, I never thought they were going to extend him, per se. I think it would be, honestly, I think it's more of a long shot than extending Vladimir Guerrero Jr., like, absolutely at this point. I think what the Blue Jays, how they're kind of operating, well, how I assumed they were going to operate was, well, all those things you're saying right there, like, we need to see that he can be good. We need to see the mental's fixed. We need to see that he can, be the Bo Bichette of old and blah, 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 blah. Well, you got to play baseball in the regular season to see that first. this, right? So, and here's the thing too. If you're looking to trade him, other teams need to also see, like, well, if I'm trading him, how much am I sending over? Am I selling what he could be, or am I selling what he did last year? And there's a big in between. So right now it feels like trading him right now, you're not necessarily going to get like the pieces that you really want in return, because no one's really offering those kind of, pieces, because he didn't perform well last year, right? So for me, if I'm the Toronto Blue Jays, I need to just like see it first, and then cross that bridge when we get there. And like trading on this offseason doesn't really make a lot of sense.
It only doesn't make sense if they're not offering up those big time pieces.
Right.
And that is why I do think that the big caveat here is, well, we're willing to listen, but we're only willing to trade him if the offer is right, if the price is right. And it was reported by Ken Rosenthal that they are looking for a relatively big-time package.
Right.
Now, I'd be very interested to see, like, in that package, what they're specifically looking for. Are you looking for MLB-ready players right now to help you be competitive next year? Are you looking to restock that farm system, which desperately needs help? Because there's a couple different ways to go about this, right? One could argue, and I think, you kind of alluded to this a little bit right off the top here, one could argue that, well, by listening in on trades of Bo Bichette, and then if you do end up trading him away, are you still sticking to what you said about trying to be competitive in 2025?
Correct.
Because everyone that we've talked to, Joe Siddle was on here just a couple days ago saying that, well, a big component to being competitive in 2025 is the Bo Bichette bounce back. You need Bo to be Bo. This is somebody that right now is probably going to be batting maybe even leadoff for you, at the very least batting second, right? So, like, if you're trying to be competitive in 2025, it does feel like Bo Bichette has either got to stay here, or if you trade him away, you're getting MLB-ready players, which that seems like a stretch. So I think an argument could be made that if they do end up doing this, or if they're actually serious, then maybe the mentality of how they are running this team is shifting a little bit.
Do you think that it's like that's an actual reality, that they would be shifting it already? Like, I mean, we're only about, I guess we are about like a month and a half, a little bit more than a month and a half into this offseason. Do you think that at this point they're kind of abandoning ship? They would abandon ship at this point?
Well, I think that Ross Atkins and company are pretty stubborn, so I think that they're going to hold out for a little while. But I do think that there could be some doubt creeping in, right? At this point, you like you said, it's been a month and a half of free agency, right? Or give or take. You've had time now. You've had the winter meetings. You've talked with all the GMs that you need to talk to, and you've talked to the agencies too. And you've probably put out a bunch of different offers for several individuals, and you've heard back. You've heard that money's not good enough, or you've heard that trade package isn't good enough, and you're starting to get a lay of the land as to what it's really going to take to bring these guys over to Toronto if you're genuinely serious about signing an Alex Bregman, for instance, which we're going to talk about a little bit later here. But, if you're starting to feel like, oh, shit, like, we're $50 million off, or, we are way off in our trade evaluation for that guy or whatever, then I could see how maybe some doubt is starting to creep in. What do you think?
Like, maybe there's some doubt, absolutely. But then I always keep going back to the whole, well, you just dropped $400 million on Rogers Center renovations. You have a rotation that's locked up for a few more years. And then to trade away Bo Bichette, it's like you're doing this half in, half out kind of crap right now, where you're not really picking a lane. And if the Blue Jays do decide to go for go and trade Bo Bichette right now, well, then go trade Bassett. Go try and trade Gausman. Like, really go all the way and trade them all, right? But here's what I keep coming back to. They won't do that because they got to fill seats next year. And they spent $400 million on the Rogers renovation, and they got to get people in the seats, and they got to build a competitive team just from a business standpoint. And by trading Bo Bichette, that leans really heavily like, okay, well, now you got to go all the way. If you go trade Bo Bichette, but then you're still trying to sell a competitive team, it's just a mess. It's a disaster.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, depending on the return. Like, if you get like a 5-year guy you have for 5 years who's actually like a budding superstar, which would never happen, okay, that makes actually a lot of sense.
Right.
But you're not going to get that. You're probably going to get like a Spencer Horwitz type, if not less.
That's the thing. I was actually just thinking that. I was going to bring that up. Like, let's just say, for instance, I guess go into fantasy land for a moment. If the offer here was somebody like a Spencer Horwitz, somebody that wasn't a super highly touted prospect, but then, comes up, shows a lot of promise at the major league level, you liked what you saw, but you're still unsure about it. Is that the type of player that you'd be willing to trade 1 year of Bo Bichette for, right? Get a bunch of control of somebody that could do it, But we don't, you know what I mean? It's
like maybe, I mean, then I just look at it this way. Well, we just traded Spencer Horwitz and Bo Bichette for Spencer Horwitz and Andres Jimenez. It's basically trading Bo Bichette for Andres Jimenez. You know what I mean?
Maybe,
and
right?
would you do that?
I don't know.
Maybe actually,
yeah.
maybe. But yeah, I don't know. It just seems really, again, but overall value, it's like, well, we just really regressed offensively still. You know, yeah, we got better defensively, but we've been down this path again. I don't know. It just seems, again, this whole offseason, like so far, because they haven't made any drastic moves other than Jimenez. Jimenez is actually more of a long-term move for the organization.
I think
like,
so, yeah.
That wasn't a let's win next year. That's a let's get our second baseman for the future.
You know, it's
a little bit of both, right? And I totally, because you're also trading with a bit of the future with Spencer Horwitz. Yeah. But like, what are we trying to do right now? Are we going all in like we've been saying that we're going to do? Or are we, rebuilding for the future? You tell me.
That's the thing, right? Like, it doesn't feel like they're truly committed to what they said that they were going to be committed to. You know, like they were saying that, okay, we're going to have a similar budget to last year, but we're also going to be, extremely aggressive and try to be competitive next season. And we're not seeing any of that side of the coin right now. And especially when you are listening in on Bo Bichette trade rumors, it does beg that question. I guess to conclude, my thoughts on this whole Bo Bichette thing, I don't actually have a problem if you do trade him away, because I'm trusting that if you make that move, it is going to be for a big-time return. You have to really vet the players or the prospects that you're getting in return here, because you are giving up somebody that could be an all-star next year. Granted, you only have him for 1 year, so I won't be upset about it if they decide to make that move. But the return, again, similarly to what we're hearing from Ken Rosenthal, the return would definitely need to be there, right? Because it does feel like by trading him away, you're kind of taking a foot out of the let's be competitive next year type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And look, again, I'm also too on the boat, like, okay, like we could trade him if, again, the package is right. I'm not married to Bo Bichette because I know he's not going to be here past 2025. It's just truth. He's not going to be here. So if you do want to trade him away, go for it right now. I did want to throw in one more thing from Ken Rosenthal, not really about Bo Bichette, but just about to hammer down the point that the perception within the industry still remains that the Blue Jays are desperate. So if the Blue Jays are desperate, now I kind of interpret it this way. Are they so desperate because they know this is the final chance they have before they flip to rebuild mode?
Well,
you know what I mean?
Like I'm starting to wonder, right? You're hearing this shit about, the Blue Jays being desperate and all that. I'm starting to wonder if this is just other executives around the league speculating on that.
Right.
Because
I mean, yeah, you would assume they would be desperate with 1 year left of Vladdy and Bo.
Yeah, I mean, but, it makes sense. It checks out. But has anyone from the Blue Jays organization or front office come out and been like, guys, this is fucking hard. Yeah,
we must get these guys.
This, right?
If we don't, we'll die.
It's like he's covered in sweat and it's like his face is like. I highly doubt that scenario has actually happened. Like I'm starting to wonder if like you're hearing all this stuff about desperation. Well, that's the the Baltimore Orioles assistant to assistant being like, yeah, like those guys. They got to do something.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Or, whoever it is. Because it does make sense. Like you do have multiple guys on expiring contracts, and the management is going to be on expiring contracts, right? So they should be desperate to do things. It just feels like we're hearing that they're desperate, but the actions so far are not leading me to believe that, right? This is not a big deal in any capacity, but you just saw Patrick Sandoval fly off the board. Now, that guy wouldn't really move the needle for the Toronto Blue Jays, but it's just like another player that they could have been interested in, similarly to Cody Bellinger, similarly to all of the other guys that we were quote-unquote in on and then have missed out on at this point in time. It just feels like guys are slowly flying off the board, and yeah, you make your Jimenez trade, but there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of urgency, even though everyone's coming out and saying we're so fucking desperate.
Yeah, if you really take a look at what we've done so far, we signed back a guy who was already with the team, so you have a little bit of advantage there, right? And then you get a guy on the team that was forced to be here. Those are the only moves that you've made, right? And then obviously minor league deals, people are desperate enough in the minor leagues, they'll sign with anybody. They don't care.
I just thought of this right now. Teoscar Hernandez has literally come out and said exactly what he wants.
Right.
That's out there. That's
Go
available. Maybe you have, and we don't know. But if it's on the table right now, and you know what that guy is going to provide, he wants no deferred money. He wants $24 million a year for 3 years. put it in his lap. Right? If you're so desperate right now, right? The LA Dodgers are sleeping on him. The rest of the league is sleeping on him. Same thing with Corbin Burns. Tougher to do, but same thing, right? Like there's other teams that are kind of sleeping on these guys. If you're so desperate to do it, you would have done it by now. And that's why I'm starting to believe that like this whole desperate thing might not actually be what they are thinking.
See, we're only desperate for defensive players, Nick.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all. Yeah. That's like Teo's defense is borderline, below average.
Exactly.
It's not good enough for the Toronto Blue Jays.
We got to save those runs, man.
Yeah,
we got to save those runs.
It's ridiculous. So, guys, let us know your thoughts about the whole Bo Bichette thing. I mean, again, if it happens, it happens, but it's got to be the right return. But most likely, I think, if I were to predict anything, Bo Bichette's going to be a Blue Jay next year. He's going to be batting 1, 2, and I hope he breaks out, just for his sake.
Before we move on to talk about the Bregman stuff and the potential Guerrero extension and all that, with the way that things are shaking up right now, my God, next year's trade deadline could be insane.
Okay, so I'm making a video about this coming out tomorrow. Insane, but also like terrifying.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Because we could be walking into that deadline knowing Bo Bichette and Vladdy could legitimately be traded at any moment.
And like not just only them, but you think about that pitching rotation too, right? Like Bassett could go. I mean, if you're giving away Guerrero and Bichette,
might as well trade Gausman. Why not Gausman?
It's like legitimately, if you walk into the next or I guess the month of April, the month of May, the month of June, those 3 months are going to be crucial for the Toronto Blue Jays. Because if after those 3 months, I don't know, New York's still really good and Baltimore's still really good, maybe Boston's taking a step, and Toronto is 10 games below 500.
Wow.
The month of July is going to be the month from hell.
I
because
know.
the amount of Guerrero trade rumors, Bo Bichette trade rumors, Gausman trade rumors, if anyone's broken out at that point, trade rumors.
Right. Look, I'll say this. In years past, we have been always playing for playoffs. That's all we cared about. When we were trying to win a game in April, May, it's like, all right, let's get ahead in the standings. Let's go get in a wild card spot.
So we can buy at the trade
deadline. So we can buy in the deadline. Let's go win this year. Next year's objective for us fans when we're watching, what's at stake is like, first of all, our objective is to win games, of course.
Yeah.
But what's at stake is not only just like, well, we were trying to make it the playoffs, but the future of our franchise is at stake. Like, is Bo and Vlad going to get traded in 3 months? If we're winning games, they won't. If they're winning games and doing great and we go on a big run, maybe that sells them a little bit more to stay in the offseason. Like, every loss pushes Vladdy and Bo away from us even further.
Correct.
So not only are we playing for playoffs, we're playing for our future of this team.
Legitimately, you're just playing for, like, I think, because right now I don't look at this squad as a playoff team. I mean, maybe that's the cynic in me, but like, let's face it, guys, look at the lineup.
We're last.
Now you're playing to not sell. Like, that's what I'm going to be watching for in the first couple months. We're playing so that we don't have to sell and that we don't have to do that. And then that's just to get a couple more months of these guys, which then they could inevitably hit free agency anyways. This is going to be a tough time, everybody. This is going to be a really tough time. In the last, 48, 72 hours, you've been hearing stuff about Bo Bichette getting traded, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. getting traded. Get used to it. Because for the next 8 months of time, that's gonna be what it is.
How the hell did we get here, guys? It's been a wild, wild ride. Let's actually jump right onto that conversation of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Ken Rosenthal also mentions in his Athletic article that the Jays are in talks with Guerrero right here in this third paragraph about a long-term extension. We kind of already knew this. There was rumors out there that Guerrero was being offered $340 million, and then he denied it. Obviously we knew that. But what the idea here is that Ken Rosenthal said they would buy him out of his final year of arbitration, so this upcoming year, and then into free agency. So they're still having conversations whether this is older news that's finally being funneled down to Ken Rosenthal and then now to us, or this is recent stuff, because the $340 million that we heard, that was before Juan Soto signed. That was like a month ago, maybe even more than a month ago. Whereas if this is coming out recently, then that's good that they're continuing to talk. But this, for me, doesn't really change my opinion. That I don't think he's going to still sign this offseason because he wants to hit free agency. He wants to see what other big market teams can raise his price to.
Yeah, it actually doesn't change anything at all for me. Like, we knew that they were talking. I want to hear that you're getting close because on December 10th, everybody, per ESPN's Alden Gonzalez, so somebody that should know stuff, he reported that the Blue Jays and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. have been in talks about an extension. So same thing as what Ken Rosenthal is saying, but then went on to go and say that they're not considered to be close on one, noting that the hesitancy from Guerrero could affect Toronto's ability to bring in free agents, which we've been saying, and then also reported that a trade could be coming if the two sides can't reach a deal, which we've also been talking about. So, yeah, they're talking, but, like, from what everybody else is saying right now, we're nowhere close to what Vladimir Guerrero Jr. wants, and, you know, I understand that it's going to be very, very difficult after seeing that Juan Soto extension and after doing all that. I'm sure that they're going to keep talking, but man, like I just don't actually see a reality where they're going to get that across the finish line.
Because, I mean, think about it this way. If that $340 million is true that they offered him a month ago, first of all, that price went up because of Juan Soto, because that was before the Juan Soto signing.
Right.
And secondly, you got to be offering even more considering the 10% market, price that you're going to be having in next free agency. It's going to just the negotiation is going to raise it all up. So you're looking at going from 340 to you got to almost be hitting like $500 million.
I'd say that you know what, you got to do $100 million more.
I'd
say $440 million. The conversation is real and legitimate and is getting started. I could genuinely see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. signing for that because if you really think about it, I mean, like, that'd be more than Mike Trout makes. That'd be like the second or third biggest contract ever. So,
yes, it would be.
You know what I mean? Like, I think you're getting to that point where it's like, okay, we can get convinced on this.
Do you think a 440 would be a good starting point for even when he hits free agency next year? It all depends on what he does, of course. But at this point, 440 is a good starting point.
Well, I mean, we heard from Joe Siddle that was on the podcast a couple of days ago that he was saying, well, you're probably going to hit free agency, and assuming he's healthy and assuming he plays well next year, you'll get a couple teams starting, with a number that starts with a 4. I don't know if maybe this is being a year removed from what actually happens, right? Because we were saying the same thing about Juan Soto, but to a different extent. I don't know if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to be a $500 million guy. Like, that seems crazy to me after watching his entire career. So I don't know if he's ever going to do that. Maybe if he does go... Honestly, like, it depends what he does, right? If he goes out and hits 50 home runs next year, then okay, well, maybe he could be a $500 million guy. But if he does the same thing that he did this past year, which is still phenomenal, like, I don't think it's going to reach that $500 million mark, especially considering first baseman and, like, not the same level as Juan Soto.
That's the thing. So. Juan Soto, I mean, virtually is a first baseman if you want to talk about defensive metrics where he provides basically little to no value on the defense side, but Juan Soto is just an incredible player.
Just a tier above in terms of the offensive output. So, I mean, I think genuinely, like, if you offer him $440 million, like, I don't know if he's going to say yes. I'm not sure what he's going to say, but that's a lot more reasonable. I just don't think that the Toronto Blue Jays are even going to get close to that. Like, it's very difficult for you if you were offering a month ago $340. Like, to then jump a month later after we haven't, like, it's not like he's played baseball or anything. Like, your evaluation of him is still the fucking same.
And that's the thing. And then I don't think 440 does it. And the reason why is because you got to protect him from the the option of, like, well, if you do have an incredible year and hit 50 home runs and win MVP, then it's like, then you're going to get $500 million. So you got to offer him even more so that he can't refuse. So if you think about the 10% market, 10% of $440 million is $44 million. So you got $484 million. Quick maths right there. That's would probably get it slam dunked on.
Yeah, maybe. You guys let us know in the comments down below. What do you think about this whole Guerrero thing? I genuinely think we're going to keep hearing about it, but I don't think that you're going to see any movement on it because it just, like, unless it is something stupid like that. And even then, it's like, do I want to sign him for $484 million?
You know what? Fuck
like,
it.
I guess
I don't care.
But
no, seriously, like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't. Like, because for me, I mean, think of that. Like, first of all, it's not my money, so I don't care. Right. Someone else is going to pay for that money, but that changes my whole reality of being a Blue Jays fan.
Right.
I go from this year being absolutely petrifying and then not knowing what's beyond that to, okay, there's a clear vision for the next.
Got this guy.
Yeah, for the next 12 years, we have Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and we know because we just spent the money, we are going to try and add pieces for the next. It may not happen the following year. We may not be good next year. We may not be good year in 2026. But maybe in 2027, 2028, we start to build around Vladdy again.
Foundation.
There's a good foundation.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I get it, man. That number just it's insane, and it's tough for me to wrap my brain around that, especially for a guy like Vladdy who, a year prior, it's like if you would have said that, I'd be like,
God,
what are you talking about?
A year prior, he was $200 million. I think it was what we kept tossing around.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus,
so
what a payday!
What difference a good baseball year makes?
Yeah,
right? But,
seriously.
Honestly, like truth be told, like we keep saying, probably not gonna happen. Shout out to the 337 people in here right now. If you haven't already done so, hit that like, smash the subscribe button, everybody, and a massive shout out to Betway, by the way, guys, title sponsor of Blue Jays Today. Let's get over to the Alex Bregman stuff. So along with the Bo Bichette trade offers and a Guerrero extension and everything like that, Ken Rosenthal was also talking about how the Toronto Blue Jays are actively looking at Alex Bregman. They are on the periphery of the Bregman sweepstakes, so we're in the mix.
Where have I heard that before?
Yeah.
It's just reworded differently.
Exactly. It's like we are very much in the mix for Alex Bregman. We've talked about him before. This is somebody that is a very quality baseball player. However, one of those guys where in a couple years' time you could be looking at the contract and going, oh my God, why did we pay this guy this much money? But again, we are not really in a position right now to be super picky.
I was going to say, I'll tell you why we paid him that much money, because we were desperate and we wanted to win this year, this 1 year that we had with Bo and Vlad. Again, I've always said this, look, if the plan is to compete next year, signing Alex Bregman is a great idea, because yes, the contract might age poorly and you may pay him a lot. I don't care. I'm not paying him that money, but at least he will legitimately give the Blue Jays a better shot next year. I mean, think about what that lineup could look like. You could have Bo Bichette, Alex Bregman, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and then after that, who God only knows, right? But at least you have like a really legit top three again. George Springer has to get moved down, as we've been talking about for quite some time. But that's a legit top three again. I don't think it's really enough to make us an offensive threat again, but, it's a good start.
Yeah, a little bit of breaking news here, everybody, from Robert Murray. This just came out 5 minutes ago, speaking about the Houston Astros and good players that we would have wanted. Christian Walker and the Houston Astros. It's not done yet, but breaking from Robert Murray, they are in advanced talks on a contract. Typically, when somebody puts this out there, that means that we are, minutes away from the Jeff Passanbaum that says the deal is done. This sucks, because that was a guy.
That was
just another fucking player that, like, I really liked and thought could be good here, and we're missing. The Astros don't even want to spend money.
No.
The Astros don't even want to spend money right now, and here they are. They're out, and they're getting guys.
It's happening yet again, everybody, because these are the realistic guys that we could have gotten.
Exactly.
Like, Pete Alonso's always a pipe dream. Alex Bregman's a pipe dream. Teoscar Hernandez, Sandoval, maybe not pipe dreams, but, like, still a very hard two guys to get because everyone else wants them. This was a guy that we could have been like, all right, well, if we had to fall all the way down and get Christian Walker, we'll take it.
I could definitely get behind that.
We could rock with that a little bit, but if he's gone, well, who's to say we're going to get those other guys?
Yeah.
This is brutal. I really do think that this offseason, and I hate to be a cynic, but this offseason truly is shaping up to be like last year.
A major L, right?
A major, disgusting L. And, man, again, I'm gonna circle all the way back around to the beginning of this offseason when they went, we're looking to be competitive next year, but we only have $40 million to spend, essentially is what they were saying. And then I'm thinking, well, of course you can't be competitive next year if you only have $40 million. You need to go above and beyond. Again, it's just idiocy across the board. Well, yeah, man. That was that breaking news, everybody.
Yeah,
wow.
So we'll see if he does end up signing there. More guys are coming out with this and talking about how, a lot of people are thinking he's going to go there, everybody. So
to finish off the Alex Bregman thing, I mean, he did say also in that article that other people seem like better fits. Who do you think he might be speculating on there? Do you think maybe Teoscar or Santander?
Maybe, could be. Again, will we be able to cross the finish line with that? I don't know. Tough to say. But this is where we're at, everybody. A couple weeks prior, it was so many people on the board, but guys are starting to fly off.
Where are you, Ross? You better not be on your Christmas holiday right now. You're not done your job yet.
Exactly.
I'm not letting you leave the office.
Seriously.
You didn't finish your work. You had deadlines.
You get to go home and have Christmas dinner when Teoscar Hernandez is back in a Toronto Blue Jays uniform. That's what I got to say about all that, everybody.
Seriously, man.
I mean, I guess to circle back to the Bregman stuff right there, I think it's, we're in it and we're going to be in it. But if I had to place money on it, I think that we're probably going to miss out. It does feel like there's some other teams out there that are probably better suited to go and get him. I think the Boston Red Sox were talking to him for a little while.
Yankees. Well, actually, they did get Bellinger, so that's their outfield right there. They could be
that
out.
Guy right there. But again, I would not be surprised at all if another team comes and swoops this in. And Bregman especially, like, I guess maybe the one thing that I could get behind is because he's got such good defense, maybe Ross Atkins could convince himself to spend $200 million on that guy.
Who, Bregman?
Yeah,
of course.
Like, because when you're really thinking about like the free agents out there, does Ross Atkins want to go balls to the wall for Santander and Teoscar Hernandez, two guys who are not very good defensively speaking? Pete Alonso was terrible defensively speaking, right? Or does he want to go after his, creme de la creme, like, gold glove third baseman over there, like Matt Chapman replacement, basically? Like, it does. I can totally see why he might want to do it.
You actually just sold me right there. I think Alex Bregman's probably more likely, actually, now thinking about it. If no one's willing to pay for that contract,
that's the thing. Ross Atkins has been known in the past to pay for defensive first studs that will then inevitably decline offensively speaking. That is actually what Alex Bregman does. So.
That's fine with me, guys. I mean, hell, I don't really care at this point. I'll take anybody.
I'll be very happy with it. Like I'm complaining right now about what I think the contract could look like, but we need guys, and Bregman is a very talented player and should be very good. For the next coming years. But
I mean, like I said this earlier. If we don't sign one top guy, including Bregman, and I kind of have the cutoff around like the Santanders and Teoscar Hernandez in terms of offense. If we don't sign a top guy, like it's a failure. It's a failure of a offseason. Guys, let's really quick give a shout out to the sponsor of this podcast. Hey guys, time for a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video. Hit your picks and knock it out of the park with Betway. Scan the QR code down below or click the link in the description to join the action. Available in Ontario only, must be 19 years older to participate, and guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
Shout out to Betway, everybody, for being absolutely phenomenal. It is the place to go if you have any interest at all in sports betting. We got a couple lines for you. Fun game this weekend. You got the Steelers and the Ravens.
I do.
Interesting. All right, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, so one of our buddies is a big Steelers fan. Shout out to Pat Stats, so for those OGs out there. Honestly, I'm kind of shocked that the money line for the Steelers is this high. Like, this is quite the return of 3.25. Like, that's actually really, really nice return. First, and yes, I get it. Ravens are a great team, but the Steelers are a great team. Yeah, they got JJ. He's coming back. He's going to be healthy playing, but no George Pickens. That's obviously a big downfall. So for me, I mean, there's a lot of good options here. I mean, even the spreads are pretty good, like 8.5 plus 8.5 for 160. That's not too bad, actually.
Yeah, I get it. I think I do really I am concerned about the no George Pickens because I didn't watch much of the Steelers and Eagles game, but apparently their offense looked anemic without any type of passing attack. So. Yeah, it's concerning to me, but I do know that historically speaking, the Steelers beat the Ravens. That's just what happens. So if you're feeling risky, maybe sprinkle a couple bucks on the Steelers money line right there.
Yeah, so if you guys want to go check it out, click that link in the description or scan the QR code right here to join all of the action. Also, I did see someone saying that BNS said that they're done all the heavy lifting. Look, don't get me wrong. We've had Ben on the show. Love Ben. I think Ben kind of leans more towards the conservative side or, doesn't, or, you know what I'm saying? Like where doesn't really want to predict a lot of bigger moves. I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, he's probably more of a realist than both of us combined.
Well, but, you know, like to his point, though, is he wrong? Like I don't think that I genuinely think that he might be right there. That if
for sure.
if Jimenez and Jimmy Garcia is more than 50% of the heavy lifting, like of course we're cooked. But would you be shocked at all if come mid-January, like we're in the same spot, but with one more kind of mid-relief pitcher or something?
No,
I wouldn't be at all.
I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be just frustrated because, again. This is why you can't trust the words of the front office because they say they want to be competitive, but then they do that. That's not being your words do not match the actions, and that's why you're full of crap. Anyways, just gotta get my daily Atkins shot in. Gotta get my daily dose of Atkins beef. All right, guys, we got some questions in here from all of you guys. We got our mailbag. It's down in the description. If you want to submit a question, submit it right now. Maybe we'll have time to ask another one because I've only got 2 right here. It's kind of slowed down over the holidays. So, guys, click that link in the description. It's a Google form. If you want to submit a question that we'll answer right here on the podcast. Speaking of free agents, this one's kind of interesting because we were talking about some big guys and who we could potentially pivot to. So, big shout out to Tempo right here with the question. They're asking, this is definitely a drop-off from Pete Alonso, but what do you think of a Carlos Santana signing? He's much older and is more likely to retire soon, but he'll be pretty cheap, and he's coming off a very solid hitting and Gold Glove season.
My God.
Thank you, Tempo, for that question. Now, first things first, when I hear, before I get into all the details, before I get into Carlos Santana, the first thing I think of is, well, this is Justin Turner.
Yeah.
This is Justin Turner because he was coming off a better offensive year than what he's done in the past.
Can you pull up the numbers to show these people?
Hey guys,
just so we
can.
Quick
shout out to
Betway again, everybody.
Shout out to Betway.
But I'm looking at Carlos Santana right now, everybody. Oh my goodness, he's a Blue Jay. He's actually a Blue Jay.
In the back of my mind, I never wanted to put it into the universe, but in the back of my mind, this entire free agency, I thought this is who we're going to pivot to.
He's a Blue Jay, guys.
He's a Blue Jay.
He's 38 years old, gonna be 39 at the beginning of next season. He won a Gold Glove last year, his first Gold Glove. That obviously is gonna get Ross Atkins nice and excited. You're talking about somebody that is, used to be a really, really good hitter. Still serviceable.
Dude, he killed us in the wild card series when he was with the Mariners.
Sure, yeah. And still like a serviceable guy. Is he going to move the needle for us? Absolutely not. But this is a Toronto Blue Jay. If I've ever seen a Toronto Blue Jay, this checks all of the boxes for what Ross Atkins looks for. Veteran presence, been around the block, good defense. Good enough with the bat. He's a Blue Jay.
And he'll only cost like $10 million.
Oh, and he bats both sides.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
He's a Blue Jay, guys. That's literally going to be a Toronto Blue Jay.
This will be your protection, Vladdy. Congratulations. Hey, Dominican, there you go. So maybe you guys can bond or something. Okay, to answer your question, what do I think? I think it's the most realistic signing that he will do.
Yeah.
Do I think this is going to help the team? No, because this is Justin Turner. This is literally Justin Turner, but a different type of player type. But
it'll help the team, but it's not gonna. This isn't the playoff move or anything. Like we don't get significantly better. Yeah.
No.
Like honestly, you really think about what the guys are rumored to do right now. Like Carlos Santana could make a lot of sense, and you're right. It's kind of like this is the new Justin Turner. And then you hear about the whole rumors in regards to Nick Pivetta. We're very interested in Nick Pivetta. That's the new Yusei Kikuchi.
Yep.
Like
we're just replacing what we lost.
Like, we're just literally, we're trying to rebuild the 74 win team from last year that didn't work. Like, and that's us being competitive. Are we fucking serious right now? We're building this God squad that won 74 games.
Let's go. Hey, we got some new prospects though, and we got Andres Jimenez now. That's our IKF replacement.
That's literally our IKF replacement,
dude. Our Jimmy replacement's Jimmy.
It's Jimmy. Yeah.
And that's why I have hope that we're gonna get a Romano replacement. Because the writing's on the wall. Oh fuck!
Yeah,
I just realized how terrible this team's gonna be.
Yeah, man. we're actually just replacing all of the guys that we had that we inevitably traded away.
We're not actually getting better.
Not really.
We're just aging.
Yeah,
we're just all getting older. So
treading water.
Shout out to Tempo for that question. That's a good one.
What a depressing. Wow, I didn't realize that question would depress me as much.
Oh
as it did,
no! Like every day that goes on, I get more and more depressed with this team.
Well, moving on. Liam asked a question right here saying, "Do you think that Edward Rogers will step in at any point in an attempt to push Ross and Mark to spend money to improve the team? Also, does Edward take a step forward after Ross and Mark's contracts expire and take some leadership of the team himself?"
Interesting. Great question. I like it.
So we'll start with the first part of that. At any point, does he step in and push Ross and Mark to spend? I don't know. Because if you're doing that, maybe, but if you're doing that, then you might as well just fire them, right? Like, they're not doing the job properly. Like, you'd be kind of doing the job for them. And there has been reports that have come out saying that the money's there. I don't know how accurate that is or not. But that would be, I guess, him pushing them. What do you think about?
I mean,
that?
I would say maybe yes, because I mean, look, I think of it very simple from a simple business standpoint. And obviously Rogers is a very successful business, so they understand this too. You spend money to make money, right? They just spent a shitload of money renovating the Rogers Center. I always keep going back to that. And then you have a team out there. If they start losing this year, I don't think it's going to happen this offseason, because you look at the ticket sales and all the merchandise sales, very similar to last year, actually. Actually, I think it actually went up a slight bit when you factor in the loss of the seats that they took out in the Rogers Center. So you put that into consideration. Right now, Ed Rogers is cool. He's chilling. But if they start to lose the fan base, which I think we could see this year if they have a losing season, then you might see him either step in and fire him like you're saying, or say, hey, boys, come on. We haven't spent money the last 2 off seasons, and we're losing our fan base. We got to spend more money. Then I could see that happening.
I just don't understand, like, if you're Mark and you're Ross, like, if you're getting the green light on this shit, why aren't you spending the money? Like, the
if that
issue,
thing was true.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, if you actually have the green light to spend the money, why is the money still in your pocket? Like, what? It's like, again, we always talk about it, and we're like, just extend Vlad. It's not our money. Well, it's not your money either, Ross, unless it's built into your contract where it's like, well, if you expend, then I could get it. But of course, that's not the case. If you're getting the green light, then spend the money, which then makes me wonder, are they getting the green light or not? I don't know. Tough to say. To the second part of that question, does Edward take a step forward after Ross and Mark's contracts? I mean, I kind of doubt it, dude. Like, at the end of the day, like, this guy is trying to become like the sports mogul of Toronto, right? Like, he just literally he purchased, what did he buy? Was it the
MLSC?
Raptor? Like a bunch of different stuff. Like, this guy has a lot of stuff on his plate right now. So kind of diving into the minutia of the Toronto Blue Jays and negotiating the Andres Jimenez trade. Like, he doesn't have time for that, right? Like, not to mention he's got to run Rogers. So no, I don't think that happens. I think that he would hire a new guy that is very hands-on, and that would be the new individual to run everything. Yeah,
absolutely. Those are all the questions we have right now, guys. Those are all the ones we had. Actually, one guy send in a very, very, very long question. Shout out to Chad. I just want to shout out to them. It's a really, really long question. Basically, it's not even a question, actually. It's just more of like what a potential Ross letter to our show, what he would say. Okay, well, it's quite funny.
How about this then? We're planning on potentially going live once or twice over the Christmas season, so maybe we'll debut the letter to Ross in one of those live streams.
Yeah, maybe we'll do like a Christmas holiday, like we did. Remember we did this in the first throwback, guys. First ever Christmas holiday here on Blue Jays Today. We did like our Blue Jays wish list.
Yeah.
We could do that, something like that.
I know. I'm just so cynical these days that I don't think Santa's gonna deliver me my presents.
We're back in the day. We were so hopeful. We're like, sign this guy, sign that guy,
trade for that guy. I feel like my wish list is gonna be kind of bare this
year. I'm gonna have so much hatred in my wish list.
It's gross, guys. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to this Blue Jays Today show. We are really hoping that we get some good news soon, guys. We're going to be going home and visiting the family for the next week, obviously, for the holiday season. But if breaking news happens, we are going to be there. I don't care if I'm out in the bush or on the road or where I am. We will be there, everybody. And hopefully Ross Atkins can do a little bit of cooking and deal with this desperation that apparently they are rumored to be in.
Right. Yeah, so next week, guys, it'll be a very different schedule. It'll be kind of just wherever, like Nick said, the news comes from. Whenever it's a breaking thing or whatever, we'll be live for it. So we appreciate all you guys. What a wonderful year it's been. Obviously, we're not done yet for the season, but we really appreciate you guys, and we hope you guys have a happy holidays.
Yeah, thanks so much for watching, everybody. And as always,
go Jays, go!